everyone, welcome to Unfinished Business, powered by Rice Bowl, the venture builder where ideas get built, not pitched. At Rice Bowl, we help founders go from spark to scale by turning passion into validation and validation into growth. This podcast is where we talk about the real entrepreneurship journey, not the pitch deck version, but the messy, flavorful, and still cooking part of venture building. We break the stories into 7 trees: technology, trend, traction, team, terms, trajectory, and total addressable market. Our way of decoding what truly drives a venture beyond the buzzwords and the boardrooms. And today we're serving something close to every Malaysian's heart: food. Yes, we're talking about food today. We're zooming in on total addressable market, how a niche idea, when spiced with culture and timing, can grow into serious demand. Our guest today is redefining how Malaysians experience Japanese food. We're speaking to Lucky Kong, a Japanese-inspired, Muslim-friendly izakaya that's rewriting the casual dining playbook. Born from a love of authentic flavors and inclusivity, Lucky Kong has become more than a restaurant. It's a movement that blends tradition, culture, and the unmistakable Malaysian appetite for something real. Joining me today is Imran, co-founder of Lucky Kong, to talk about turning passion into market and building a brand where culture meets commerce. Welcome, Imran, to the Unfinished Business.
Thank you for having me here today. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for joining us. So let's dig in, right?
Sure.
Let's start with the story behind the name. The name is really very catchy. Lucky Kong. How did it begin, and what is the spark behind what made you say, let's build a Japanese concept right here in Malaysia?
Okay. Before I go there, I'll give some backstory.
Sure.
So how did we even get there? So actually it started off with 5 of us. There's 5 of us behind this brand.
Are you a good cook?
I'm not the cook, unfortunately. But thankfully my wife is. So yeah, but there's 5 of us in total. 4 of us were actually friends since Form 1.
Wow.
Yeah, we were together since Form 1.
That's very hard to find
Yeah.
nowadays.
True. So I'm very grateful for that. We all started off when we were Form 1. I would say what we loved to do was to dream, right? So from a very young age, we always wanted to really make it in life. So we used to daydream a lot, look at buildings and tell each other, hopefully one day we can own things like that, right? So that's how our friendship started. But then we all eventually went overseas, studied, and came back, and then that spark reignited back again. So before we actually started F&B, we went into different businesses just to try, just to learn, just to come together. So we sold batik, we sold shirts, we sold vape, all sorts of things. But what we truly like and cannot run away from is food, right? So, and all of us, we love Japanese food, and particularly Japanese barbecue. So there's this stop in KL called Super Boring Club. So 4 of us always used to eat there all the time.
Your hangout place.
Yeah, it's our hangout place. And I think the stars aligned. We met the owner there. His name is Edwin. And 5 of us came together, and that's how we started off with a shop called Kingu Kongu. That was the first store. And then we moved on to Lucky Kong. So that's how the Avengers, I would say, came together and formed alliances and actually brought Japanese Lucky Kong and Kingu Kongu into reality. That's how it came.
So the name Lucky Kong is something you guys, just say, this is a nice name, or...
Okay, so why Lucky Kong, right?
Was it King Kong movie inspired?
Yes.
Okay.
So the first store was called Kingu Kongu. And at that time when we opened it was COVID.
All right.
Right. And we were thinking, what should we call ourselves? So we wanted to call ourselves King Kong because that time was the King Kong and Godzilla movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
Yeah. So, and King Kong is a character that always likes to fight. Always.
He's a superhero.
Yeah,
right?
He's a superhero. So we thought we're doing something crazy during COVID. Everyone is closing and we are trying to open a store. So that's why we were inspired by that character. So that's why we called King Kong, and then we tried to find the Japanese word for King Kong. That's how it came as Kingu Kongu. And the reason Lucky Kong came is we actually got inspired when we went to Japan. We see how there's a lot of anime culture where they build their own characters and have personality towards their character. That's why we built Lucky Kong. It's actually the sister of Kingu Kongu. That's how Lucky came into the picture. And now Lucky and Kingu are brothers and sisters. That's how I put it.
Oh, nice. You build not just sort of like a mascot out of it, but there's a story behind it, right?
Yes.
At first, I thought Lucky Kong was like some Chinese, because most of the Chinese believe, you should name your son, gold, silver, lucky. So, but anyway, I think it's a great story of, friends coming together.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be, friends from schools drop up together and that is the usual startup stories.
Yeah.
But I also believe that there are times where you go different path.
Correct.
And then if it's meant to be, you may go a full circle and come back.
Correct.
Each with different experiences or different tuition fees that you have paid, right?
Yeah.
But food is really a very competitive business, right? Especially like you said, during COVID, there are restaurants and food eateries that close, but there are also businesses that thrive. Those that are lean enough. There are a few, I think, in Malaysia. One of the favorite coffee brand, I think Zeus was born out sort of like, during COVID, where people realized that, the take and go culture for busy people, not everyone has the time to sit down and eat. So, but when it comes to competitiveness, right? How do you maintain, I think Malaysia probably have quite a number of Japanese restaurants, right? What is the one or two things that really stands out, from Lucky Kong? Is it the pricing? Is it the recipe? Is it the service?
Yep. If I had to put one word to it, it's experience. Why I say experience, when we built the store, we built it in a way that when someone comes in, we want them to be transported away from where they are, right? So we took a lot of izakaya culture.
Mm-hmm.
And if you looked at most of the Japanese restaurants, they're very clean and minimalist.
Yes.
We went opposite. We went loud. We went full of personality. We went color. So we don't want to be authentic, but by being a copy. But what we want to do is be authentic in our own way. So that's why I feel when someone comes into our store, they don't just experience the food, but they also experience being taken away from their daily hustle and bustle. They get transported together with their friends. That's the whole idea. Because like you said, a lot of them are going to the grab and go market, the volume market. We, at the end of the day, are still sit down. So how can we stand differently from all the Japanese restaurants out there is we really focus very much in experience.
I think experience do play a very significant role. It depends on what type of diners. Like, maybe for more, I think matured senior, corporate people, they may want to have a quieter dining experience because lunch is a lunch meeting,
Yep.
right? So it's hard to talk during a busy lunchtime. But would you say that your crowd or your target market or your addressable market are, in terms of age and gender, do you have, a data that actually help you drives, to increase, better experience for these diners?
Yep. Interesting question. When we first started the brand, we actually tried to identify our addressable market, our demographics, right? So we were thinking the ones that will probably come to our restaurants are the Gen Zs, the millennials, the younger crowd, the urban crowd, and not very much the older crowd, like you said. But surprisingly, especially in our KL outlet, the bigger outlet, a lot of families come and they bring their kids. They celebrate their birthday there. Then I try to take a step back and think, why is this happening? Then I realized it's all about inclusivity. There are a lot of families out there that want to experience things like this, but it's not accessible to them. Which I'll get down to, the fact that it's not really halal, or that maybe they might serve alcohol. So those things prevent them from wanting to go to those places. So when we first started, our main objective was to make the inaccessible accessible to people. So that's why if you look at izakaya means bar, but we don't serve alcohol at all. But we took that concept to give experiences to more Malaysians to actually come and try. That's why at the end of the day, when we thought majority of the crowd will be Muslims, I was surprised to see 60% is Muslims and 40% are non-Muslims, because I realized if you do it right, it doesn't really matter. Everyone can come and come and enjoy it.
I think the concept of being halal, or in my case, besides being a founder of Rice Bowl, I'm also a founder of FICUS, which is a Sharia compliant VC fund, right? In that way, you actually open the market wider, right? So you can serve non-Muslims can eat halal as well.
Yeah.
It's just that you're right. Typically when you go to a Japanese restaurant, of course, the mindset of Japanese restaurant equals like they also serve sake is there. It's a
Yes.
culture, and I don't think we should take it away from the Japanese, but the ability to take something that is palatable to the local taste and also make it easy and accessible is really very, very important, especially if you're starting your own brand. You're not like just bringing a franchise where you are sort of restricted. Coming back to restaurants, I think it's a very glamorous business. Like, I'm a restaurant owner, but, let's talk about the hardship and the sleepless night of being a restaurant owner. Do you have to be there every day? Or do you have a team where you can be anywhere and is, autopilot? I think that is a very important element of, being an entrepreneur. If you have a restaurant and you say, this is my baby, so I'm there 9 to 5. But when it comes to scaling it,
Yes.
you can't be there in hundreds of your outlets. So you have to build a system where if you are holidaying in the Bahamas, things are still autopilot. So at what stage, are you right now? Do you still have to go to the outlets because you're really very hands-on person?
Okay, no. Thankfully, right now, it's all automated, but automation is secondary. We have an amazing team. It all starts with people. It took us a while to find our people, but now we have our people, so that I don't have to really go much. I can focus more on the strategical side of things. How do we scale? How do we make the experience better? But going back to your question, at the beginning, it was sleepless nights. It was 10, 13, 14 hours a day, non-stop. You think you fix one problem, 10 other problems come. At that point of time, staff turnover was high. People were afraid of COVID. There was uncertainty in the market. It was tough. But to be honest with you, I'm very grateful for those moments, because those moments taught us to become stronger. At that point of time, there's only two things you could do. You either give up or you persevere. So thankfully, we had a really strong family behind us that constantly motivated us. Our friendship is very strong, that we never let each other give up. There were moments where, you like, man, do I want to continue this,
Yeah.
But like I said, at the end of the day, as long as you have a good family, you have friends that are there for you and like are there and motivate you during your darkest times and be there for you, I think anything is possible.
Yeah, I think team is one of the important element when any of the investors invest in a new idea. Actually, ideas can be replicable anytime. Even if yours is the best idea today, tomorrow it becomes somebody's idea. If the person can do it better, cheaper, faster than you. But I think, having a good team to drive the idea, constantly pivoting, because, like you said, you thought it worked, but actually no. And you fix one problem, it opens up another problem. So I think that also drives back to really, is there a plan in place? Okay. I think a lot of young founders or startups or someone who just, really like want to start a business, what we see is always like the Malay says, hangat-hangat tahi ayam. It's like, wow, I really want to do. But then when reality hits, like I said, problem after problem, when the staff suddenly decided not to turn up at work, you have to be the one that cuci the pinggan, the one to cook and the one to serve, right? But having a team that keep pushing you, I think is really very important, because I think like a 4x100 meter, you, even the 3 runs the fastest, if one decided to just stop, the whole race is actually disqualified. But that is also part and parcel of building a company, because as investors, we are also afraid that the business venture is a single founder. because one single person cannot be the expert of everything.
Correct.
Right. So you need to be able to have a team where you complement each other. And I'm so glad to know that you guys started as friends. So they know your bad habit, you know theirs, you can tolerate each other. So that kind of, an argument or potential misunderstanding is all already settled in school. So you're very lucky to have that. Most of the founders have difficulty finding their co-founder.
Yeah.
And some may have changed a few co-founders before they get the right one. Yeah. So I think in all relationships, time does play a big role.
Very true.
Right. So food. Malaysia loves food, but in Malaysia we are also blessed with many type of food, right? And of course Japanese is one of my favorite as well. In terms of the experience, you have it. Family loves to go there because it's accessible. Kids can be there and safe. And what about the recipe itself? I mean, place is nice is one thing, right? Eventually, people will judge you based on the quality of food, the taste of food. How do you ensure that the supply chain of getting the best ingredient? Because I think, most Japanese food, people expect like really fresh ingredient, especially like sushi. But I think barbecue maybe is not that challenging. But in terms of the supply chain, right? Do you have difficulty in sourcing really good, your raw ingredients? Is it imported or is it local produce? Most of it.
At the beginning, yes. So the beginning part of the business was really trial and error, finding the right suppliers. Especially on the stage when you're designing your menu. Mm-hmm. After we found the core suppliers, that's when we try to build really long-lasting relationship with them. So how we build good relationship with them is we already kind of know how much we're going to do for the year or for the month, right? So we kind of give them some commitment. By giving them commitment, they know that we are in this together. So there could be times where there's shortage in the market because there are some products produced locally and there are some products that we import, right? So when it comes to shortages, because we built this good relationship with them, they ensured that we are one of the priorities that actually get this, so that we don't cut our supply chain. At the end of the day, if we have nothing to sell, we can't make any money and we can't please any of our guests. But to me, more than I would say the ingredients, quality, that was not difficult, but the hardest part was the convincing Malaysians. Because like Gen Zs and millennials, they are more aware about Japanese foods, but the older crowd, when they see raw, they get taken back. They're like, man, how are you like eating raw food, right? So our main focus was getting the right ingredients, but how can we maintain Japanese culture is finesse, but incorporate Malaysian soul, right? So some of the products that we have sambal petai maki. So we incorporated Japanese sushi with
Petai is my favorite.
Yeah, so that's actually one of our best sellers.
Sambal petai maki.
Yeah.
Wow. That's something new. I must try it.
During Raya, we did rendang maki. And then like salmon, a lot of people they get scared to try the raw salmon. So what we do, we actually made a Thai sauce. So when you actually dip it in, it cuts the rawness. And then more people get to try and then they realize, oh, there's this side of the world, there's this kind of food that we have not dabbled with before. So to me, that was the harder part than getting the supply chain fixed, is how do I maintain authenticity, but at the same time acceptability.
And how do you guys come up with new menu? Was it like, you have a team and then you are one of those who really try it? Or, is there a very structured way on how you guys, plan? What menu? Because there are some restaurants, the very old ones that, 20 years ago, I went to a restaurant, the menu is the same. But people go back there because they wanted to rekindle the taste, Some of the Chinese restaurants, it's like, wow, the decoration never changed and then time stood still, right?
Yeah.
But how often do you guys change the menu? Like, do you give customer surprises? Because some people relate Japanese food so much to the omakase, surprise and all this, right? What about you guys? What are the strategies to also, of course, if it is a bestseller, you might want to keep it because people will come back, right, for that one dish, right? So how does it work for you guys?
Okay, so we have the 70-30 model. So 70% is what we call evergreen products. These are products that generally people come and like always purchase them, and they are like our best sellers. So those are the ones that we always maintain in our menu. And even if we open future stores and the current stores, we make sure all these stores carry those products. The 30% is what we call creativity. Like I said, there's 5 of us. So 2 of them, one is Edwin, another one is Mio. They are in charge of the food. So Edwin actually lived in Japan for 7 to 8 years, trying to study the art of Japanese food. So what Mio brings into the picture is he loves Malaysian food. So he tries to take the Malaysian bold flavors and try to see how they can incorporate it to the finesse of the Japanese cuisine. So how our maki, the toppings of a maki can be different from the typical Japanese restaurants, right? We always put that as a priority because I go back to the main foundation core, which is experience. You know, if we serve similar sushi to like everyone else, it's very hard for us to stand out from our competitors. So that's why our focus is, they both of them like to use this word called wow. It has to be wow. You know, whatever we do, it has to be wow. And then the 3 of us, me, Haziq, and Firdaus, our job is just eat. Eat.
That's a very nice job.
Yeah, that's the best job.
But I don't see the waistline.
It's because of big shirt, so it's
Okay. I want to ask like what kind of slimming supplements, but I think it's important. You know,
Yeah.
if you should try it, and but sometimes, you know, what is palatable to you. Like I really love really spicy, but my taste does not represent everyone's taste, right? So as business, I guess you build a product for the market, not for yourself.
Correct.
Right? So I notice a lot of F&B business because, of course, it's operated by the staff, right? What separates a 5-star experience and a casual walk-in? In a maybe a fine dining restaurants, the staff will remember your name,
Yep.
or they bother to check out. So, Mr. So and so, this is your favorite corner, right? But as we, you know, sort of operate any kind of business in today's world where it is driven by insights and tech, you know, how are you guys, you know, embracing technology that allows you to, you know, have more intimate relationship with your clients? Like, would you know this family of 5, they always liked, you know, to come at this hour. They love to order their favorite so-called evergreen food. And, you know, that is something I feel that restaurant owners are maybe struggling. Of course, you can't remember just, you know, by our own brain. You know, there's so many things to remember. But technology-wise, you know, you guys are really young owners of restaurants. I'm sure technology plays a role in your business venture.
Yep.
Like even from the point people pay, the reward, even to like your inventory, which is like, oh, I want to order this, but you know, lama the onion habis, right? So you know, share with us or share with the audience, those who really want to inspired to start a business, you know, technologies that will help them, you know, operate the restaurants in a more effective or efficient manner.
Okay, so there's 2 parts to this. We have the back room, we have the front room, right? So to us, data is everything. So from the minute someone books, buys, what they eat, we know everything. We actually keep their contact information and their names. The main reason we do that is retargeting, right? We try to create a personalized experience for our customers. So for example, like you said, do you know customers that often come to our restaurants, and what do they eat? We do. So what we do with them is we actually reward them more, right? We tell them, hey, you know, like the last time you came, you ordered this is something new, why don't you try it? It's on the house. And for all our new restaurants, what we do is we actually bucket our most loyal customers, and we actually invite them to come over to the restaurant before we open it up to the public. We want them to experience firsthand our food. We want to get the feedback from them, because their feedback will be the most genuine feedback for us. And they are like our first line of defense before we actually go to the public. And speaking of that, right now we're actually developing a community called Companions.
Oh,
Yeah.
companions.
Yeah, Companions.
Interesting.
So by using data, we want to like a free membership where we don't want to just reward our loyal customers, but we want to reward people who want to join our community. And our community, we're not just going to focus on our restaurants. We're going to focus about Japanese culture, how the two cultures can come together. We want to give them not only rewards, but we also want to invite them to other brands that we will be developing in the future. So we want to create like an ecosystem, and we want this group of people to enjoy all the not only rewards but the experiences that all these ecosystems can provide them, right? So that's the front end. Back end, we have inventory management system to manage our entire inventory, because as you grow and you scale, you can't really do a lot of manual work because you will make a lot of mistakes. And yes, if you do manual work, you will lead to moments where I don't have onions and I can't sell everything and anything. So efficiency is very, very important, because not only it helps us manage our inventory, wastage, efficiency, cost control, because at the end of the day, if you don't manage your profit and loss statement, you're going to be in trouble. And technology, what it does, it not only gives us efficiency, it gives us detailed analysis on what we might not see if we did it manually, and it allows us to scale faster, make decisions faster, avoid mistakes. So for anyone out there that's starting a business, I highly, highly, highly recommend them, especially now with AI. Please go and like read about it. There's a lot of things that we can learn that can actually make our businesses much better.
Yeah. I think data, well, if you use it manually, it will be raw data, which means it's noise. I think what AI and technology does is that they take data, they translate it into insights. And insights are important for a business owner to make real decisions. Yeah. You know, if you're able to see what moves, what doesn't, right? But just coming back to this, wasn't part of the question, but when you said you wanted to develop this community called Companions, you know, I certainly thought about this because in Japan, right, you see a lot of corporate workers, they always eat alone, right? And I think in Malaysia, in Asian, if you eat alone, some people may think that you're a loser.
Yeah.
But there was a startup, I think from the States. It's called Time Left, if I'm not wrong. Basically, it's an app where you can just log in, sign up, and they partner with a restaurant, so the restaurant will host like a table. So these 4 people randomly will just join together and have a dinner. So, well, they target ladies, but I'm sure 4 different friends, ladies, men, you know, can come together and eat and have a conversation just randomly. Yeah. Because companion doesn't mean that it's always the same people, right? But, you know, what I felt was a really good way of, you know, getting people to come together.
Yeah.
Because I don't like to eat alone because, you know, I feel like everybody is watching me eating alone. If I have someone to eat with me, at least, you know, I think I can take cover. Yeah. I can order more things, right? Yeah. But yeah, do check out that concept. Maybe, you know, since your branding is going to be Companions, randomly 4 people just turn up.
Actually, that's smart. Very brilliant.
Yeah. And they just sit together and they will become friends, I'm sure. Because, you know, you just randomly, I think they have more things to talk than the old Companions. But anyway, if you have that, then maybe I'll join.
That's a good idea. I'll take it.
Yeah. So anyway, at the beginning of this podcast, we said that, you know, every entrepreneurial journey is not as glittery as your pitch deck, as your LinkedIn profile. So if I were to ask you, you know, have you guys ever come to that moment where things are not working out and you ever considered like maybe it's the wrong decision? Mm-hmm. You want to give up or you want to try something else?
Mm-hmm. During COVID, I wouldn't say give up, but there were times where we questioned ourselves. Is it the right decision? Because we were very confident, but at that one point we started questioning ourselves. When you start questioning yourselves, it leads to doubt, and then fear kind of creeps in, and then fear really messes with you. But like I said, we went back, consulted our families. All our families like, no, if you believe in it, we are behind you, just go. So that's when we like, you know, let's just try lah. whatever happens, happens. If it's meant for us, it will work out. So that's the mindset we had. So we just went for it. And we went for it at the beginning. Yes, we did hurdles, but we kind of learned fast. We learned really, really fast. We tried to make sure that, like I said at the beginning, we're really hands-on. So we tried to learn as much as we can. Why doesn't it work? Why didn't it work? We pivoted really, really fast. So I think the perseverance, plus the ability for us to constantly pivot, actually pushed us from being fearful, not to say more confident, but more calm. And when you're calm, you tend to make really, really good decisions. So that's how I would say it transitioned when we had that rough patch.
So Imran, I think post-COVID actually brought a lot of distress to everyone, and including myself, right? So as we were chatting earlier, I told you I had a preschools, and actually schools was one of the most safe business, education, right? Even the world is going crazy, schools were maintained. But during COVID, schools is the one that closed. So my school was actually closed for 2 years because it's in Philippines. I brought the topic up Philippines because I asked you where where do you see Lucky Kong go beyond Malaysia? And you mentioned Indonesia, Singapore, and perhaps Philippines, right? Currently, Lucky Kong has got a few branches. I asked if there are plans to expand, to scale it. What are the team's immediate plan to build 1 or 2 or 3 or 5, and do you have a grand plan to grow rapidly? We hear a few other F&B businesses, they grow so rapidly, some even within 2-3 years they want to go IPO. But for your team, is it foundational, build a good foundation is more important, slow and steady, or are you chasing speed?
Okay. For me personally and the team, slow and steady. Reason being why slow and steady, we want to build a really strong foundation. We want to grow it in a way where it will sustainably grow by itself, as we grow. And so now our focus is making sure all our SOPs are in line, making sure the quality to day is always managed, expectations from our customers are met. So once we tick all those boxes, we will then maybe scale a little bit faster. But our immediate plan, maybe for the next 1.5 years, 2 years, is 5 stores. But the next few stores that we are going to build, it will be more experimental, more experience. It might be a little bit different than what we currently have. We want to try something. Stay tuned. But that's the whole idea for the next 2-year plan. But our 5-year plan is, we want to try go outside Malaysia. The whole idea is we want to carry Malaysia's name to the countries that we go to. It's very, very important. And fundamentally, it's going to make all parents super proud,
please come to Philippines, because I am actually, very sad every time I go back to Philippines because there's no Malaysian restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
And
okay.
Yes, there's no Malaysian restaurants. I used to bring, rendang paste so I can cook like a good chef, and all my friends thought it was my cooking, but it was just the paste lah. Yeah. So I just put the chicken or the rendang.
You don't have to tell them. You don't have to tell them that.
Yeah. So I just, I didn't say anything. I didn't deny. But anyway, okay, that's a good plan. Slow and steady is important. So Imran, we talk about market expansion, and one of the places you mentioned was Indonesia, Singapore, and Philippines. I think there must be a reason why you chose these 3 countries. Maybe you can share with us, like, if you were given the resources, you can go to any of these countries tomorrow, which 3 would you choose?
Okay, I will go maybe Indonesia first.
Why?
Population size.
Okay.
Total addressable market. The population size is huge. They kind of have a similar taste profile to us. Yeah, they are different, but the foundational taste profile is still very similar. So they should be able to accept the boldness of our sushis.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel when I go to Indonesia, I realized that there's a lot of Japanese restaurants, but they are pretty much similar. They don't really have that izakaya concept similar to my experience in Malaysia. That's why we decided to open this. So that's why Indonesia will be number one. Singapore, the reason being is because it's either Singapore or Johor. We wanted to serve that side of the town. We're still studying the business model, the cost structure. It's different, the cost structure over there compared to Malaysia.
Yes.
So we have to look at the pricing. We have to look at the competitors to see if we can actually match the same kind of offerings at maybe, if not a little bit higher, a little bit lower than that. But definitely Indonesia is a market that we really, really want to look into. Yeah.
Well, I think it's good. At least you don't have to really redesign, the palate, the taste. It is quite similar. In fact, this region. While I said this region, even Philippines, in terms of language, in terms of wordings, the Bahasa word, right, it's quite similar to us. But having said that, what I realized, since I do spend quite a bit of time in Philippines, they don't like spicy food. I have to bring, so if I were to ask for chili, they will give me one chili padi in a vinegar sauce. So that's not how, at least me from Penang, how we eat chili. So they don't appreciate, especially very local Filipinos. But maybe those who work overseas, they are open to more international palate. Now, since you ventured into the business of F&B, right? Do you have a brand or a restaurant that is your idol restaurants? Like one day, I want to be like that brand or that restaurant. If you were to name a brand in F&B.
For us, there's a lot of brands that we wanted to follow. But if I had to pick one, right, we would definitely pick Domino's. Reason. Why Domino's in the US, they're the king of data. They really do well with data. They really do well with personalization. They really do well with understanding the customers very, very well. So foundationally, we want to aspire to have those elements in our business. But in terms of the way we do our food, the way we build our experience, we want to have our own path. About that foundation, we really look up to those two brands.
Yeah, because I think when you said Japanese, right, you sometimes can't run away from the fact that when you go to a Japanese, like really fine dining Japanese restaurant, you go there to have a conversation with the chef, right? It's not so much about the food, but the whole experience. So there's a face to it, right? But of course, when you go to a more casual dining, you really don't know who is the owner. You see maybe the captain, the F&B managers. But I think for, consumers to know who really owns it, and why is this person or this team, is doing what they're doing. I think it's important, so that I know that, this guy is serious about it. It's not just, a Starbucks that I go to, but I do not know really who are the franchisees. Of course, I know who brought Starbucks in, who brought McDonald's in, but the one operating, you don't know. So currently, Lucky Kong is owned by the company. It's not franchised out yet. Is there a plan to franchise it in future, especially like when you're planning to go overseas?
Overseas, maybe. Locally, no. The reason we actually did a SWOT analysis on having a franchise model or owning our own model, we realized that when you have franchise, there's a possibility you can lose your soul, because sometimes the franchisee does not understand the true inspiration behind the brand, or how the brand should be carried or shown to the public, right? To them, it probably is more of dollars and figures, P&L, profits, right? So we don't want to lose our soul, because at the end of the day, what made us here today is because we always wanted to put our customers first. We always wanted to make sure the experience is there, and we always wanted to make sure that the quality we give is superior to then how much profits we make. So that's the fundamental reason why we don't want to go into a franchise model. That's why slow and steady. If we did franchise, we probably have 8, 9, 10 restaurants by now, but we probably would have lost our identity. So that's the fundamental reason. But we also know in order for us to scale overseas, we definitely require talents from the market there, because they know the demographics there. They know the market much better than we do, right? So going overseas, we might consider having a master franchise rather than multiple different franchisees, sorry. But the person we pick, we'll definitely make sure he resembles what we believe in. Yeah.
I think one of the F&B business, the brand that I really sort of aspire or sort of like respect, of course, I'm sure you heard of Hai Di Lao, the steamboat, really, crazy marketing. You get massages and manicure while waiting because the queue is really long. But I think beyond that, right, is the founder's ability to retain the good stuff, make them part of his business empire, and every single new restaurants or new outlet, the staff that have served the company has a share in it. So you feel that you are part of it, not just working to make someone rich. I think that is one way that businesses can also scale, is employee owned, So everybody feels like I have ownership of this. It's not that, I just really work very hard and the boss is the only one that gets rich, right? So this is the model I also personally also embrace, because besides my work as a venture capitalist, I love education. So I have actually invested in a preschool. And employee turnaround, teachers, you taught teachers, is a very respectable career. But I think we have to face the fact that we need to embrace that most of our workers are now Gen Zs. And it's not about, they don't like the job. They just want to have more experience, They may serve you well for 2 years, but be ready that they may choose to leave for another experience and all this. So I think in a business of providing services, I guess schools, I depend on teachers, and your F&B outlets is all the chef and the people who serve. The turnaround and attrition is really one of our challenges. So, but I did something that I learned from Hai Di Lao. I make, those employees that were with me since day one part of my school. So they are now a small shareholder. I give them the shares because eventually they are the ones who drives the business. Yeah. So this is something that I always encourage founders, to give, because if you take it all on yourself, you can only grow this big. Yeah. But if you have someone that you can trust, be ready to share. Yeah. Because only if you share with the good people, then I think scaling may be easier, because someone you can trust. Yeah. Even those you hire with all the good CVs, it may turn out, not the reality. So we are coming to the end of this podcast and conversation. I really love the fact, maybe because I do love food, so this doesn't feel like work itself. Feels like talking about food. So there are some burning questions that I like to ask, but I guess in the interest of time, I may not have so much time to ask. But I think one last question. I think we have some time for last question. For you, you still look very young, right? If I were to ask you, what do you see yourself in 10 years' time? Would you be managing, Lucky Kong, 100% still hands-on? Or most founders, usually the investors will ask questions like, in case Lucky Kong is raising money to expand, what are your exit strategies? Do you plan to exit, or do you plan to build a legacy? Pass it to your children, is going to be something that you yourself is attached to it.
Yep.
Or your team, for that matter. Yeah.
The goal Exit strategy, for sure. For now, it's an exit strategy. But with that being said, maybe exit strategy for a certain percentage. We still want to hold some shares in the company so that we can still be there to make sure that the soul of the brand is taken care of. That's my 10-year plan. Hopefully, we have a few branches overseas, right? It's always a dream of ours to have something outside Malaysia that we can proudly call that was born from Malaysia. I feel now we are in an era where a small country like us can still make so much noise in the world. So I want to be part of that. Like now the new generations, they are much more hungry. They wanna really make it to the top. So I hope in 10 years time, or my dreams in 10 years time is maybe when we go to Manila, you can see a Lucky Kong there. You go to Indonesia, you see one. And our dream collectively is one day to have it in Dubai. Yeah, to have Lucky Kong or Kingu Kongu in Dubai. We've been speaking about that from the day we started the brand. That's it's our dream if you ever had it there. Mainly because it's the country that hosts most of people from different parts of the world, right? So imagine people from different parts of the world come and try this brand and they ask, hey, where is this from? And it's from a little country called Malaysia, right? That's something that we all really, really hope for in the next 10 years, more than the exit strategy. So that's what we will try to strive for.
Well, that's very inspiring. I mean, I used to be on the board of Matrade, so I would be so proud that someone is championing Malaysian brands, to bring Malaysia to the world. I think that's very inspiring. But I think if you are not able to bring the brands out of Malaysia for the time being, try to be in the airport, because in airport, you have all the travelers coming to you.
Yeah.
So be in the airport where you can let people try and taste it. And they may just feel like, well, I need to come back to Malaysia to have more. Or they may just inquire, to be the franchisees, right? So thank you so much, Imran. And thank you for coming to this show to share, what you guys have been doing. I wish you all the best, and looking forward to see more Lucky Kong. I think the crew here would love to, be part of your store opening. We can be the guinea pig to taste.
Sure. After this, you guys can more than welcome to come, and we'll feed you very, very well.
All right, that was Imran from Lucky Kong sharing with us what it takes to mix culture, courage, and commercial sense into one unforgettable brand. And the takeaway in business, just like in food, is not about why you started it, but who kept perfecting the recipe. Right? Kalau you suka this kind of conversation, don't forget to follow and share this podcast. Visit Lucky Kong. So where can you find Lucky Kong?
Okay, so we are located in Jalan Fuad 1, right opposite Q Bistro. Just look up. And then we have one more store in Chowkit, Jalan Yap Ashak.
Okay, so you can find Imran there. And we look forward to sharing with you a more inspiring journey on this episode on Unfinished Business. This is your host, Rina Neo, and I look forward to seeing you guys the next episode. Thank you, Imran.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.